Welcome to Conscious Dominance, a DSRX studio production. These weekly conversations explore how to approach mindful leadership and inner dominance within the powerful container of committed, intentional relationships. Join Eric as he invites new dialogues, sharing practical insights for how the craft of consciousness opens the aperture to love, serve, and connect with unwavering presence.
Welcome to Conscious Dominance. This is Eric. Conscious Dominance is an art. And because it's an art, we need to be artists. What do I mean by that? Conscious Dominance is not about control. It's not about posturing. It's not even always about leadership or power or strength. All of those words can inhibit our capacity to be in pure presence. All of them keep us in check in a sense of hierarchy. Jordan Peterson said, the only pure job without hierarchy is art. You, in your relationship, cannot be comparing your relationship and placing it above or below anyone else. Like a baby, there's no baby that's better than another baby except your baby, right? There's no relationship that's a better relationship than your relationship. Your art as an artist is what's important. It's what's in front of you. And one person's painting that they love is somebody else's that they don't like. It's not one better than the other one. And this is the challenge for many about art, is it doesn't fit or follow the rules of convention. It's not always prescriptive. It doesn't have always a clear-cut path of what it is or how it is. And we, as artists, are able to navigate situations that don't always have a clear way forward. All of the different modalities of life can be included and utilized for artistic purposes. Art is another word for living as an author or as an artist of every moment. Why I like artist is because it's inclusive of the patina, the soul, the vibe, the energy of everything. We're not here to be efficient. We liberate ourselves from the constraints of identity, of labels and definitions, and even what it is to be a man. That's what artists do. That's what we do. I'm an artist. I was trained as an artist. I'm trying to tell you, you can be an artist too. It's just a matter of embracing the uncertain. It's embracing agency. It's embracing the pillars. The pillars of conscious dominance are also the pillars of what it is to be an artist. Take responsibility. Have integrity for your art. Be in presence. Believe and understand that your sensitivity is an asset. An artist, of course, that's true. And your capacity to not be reactive. Don't be swept up with whatever's in front of you. That reactivity is not serving you. And the regenerative quality of conscious dominance is the same as art. All things can be fodder for something that can be delectable and delightful and beautiful, even the things that we normally think of as negative. There's great movies about death and violence and really difficult or sad situations. Tragedy can be beautiful. The relationship that we have with our woman is our art, is our craft, it's our canvas. And we have agency in every moment, just like an artist before a canvas or before an art piece. We get to decide the tone, the temperature, the color, the titration. We get to decide the dosage of every interaction in ourself with the other person, what's happening in the moment, where we're going in the future. How are we reacting? How are we responding to the situation, to the art piece? Our relationship, your woman, your man, whoever you are in your shared life, your daily choices, all of this is your art piece. You're not just a manager of that. You're not the dictator of that. You're not there to control it. You're the author of it. You're the artist of it. The artist's job is to create their own craft, their own rules. And part of the rules that artists get to create is that they get to utilize all different roles as needed. So Why I like the word artist is that when it's necessary, an artist can put on the hat of being an engineer or a manager or of a dad or of a dominant, like in a more traditional kind of classic sense of that word. Whatever the situation calls for in that moment, you're not losing yourself by adjusting the role that you're playing in that moment or bringing in someone else to play that role. That's what's necessary to create the art that you want to create that's in front of you. So conscious dominance means not being beholden to our identity. It means seeing that our identity and the roles that we play, they're just tools. They're attributes. Skills are just tools that we are able to use. They're not identities that we have to fit into and then be constricted by. So conscious dominance means that we're aware of the situation and we're responding as an artist, as an author of it. The planning, the structure, the strategy, all are part of it, but we're not restricted by it. If we hold that too tightly, we can become really reactive when it doesn't go the way we want it to go. We judge that negatively and harshly and often fall backwards. Instead, treat it as just material for our art, for our craft. Now, craft is a word that I love to use. Respect the craft. And as artists, we get to decide what our craft is. A specific artist or their craft of what it is to be them as an artist is different than what it is for another person who's an artist. Craft implies it's a method, it's an integrity to a way of approaching materials, and it's a way of approaching the way we set up, the way we clean up, the way that we respect what's gone on before, with the history of it, the lineage that you're under. If you're really into a specific craft within the world of BDSM, there's a respect that you have for the craft. And what I'm saying is that as an artist, you get to choose which worlds that you want to participate in. When those identities and roles don't fit you, you can make adjustments. You're allowed. This is you. You get to be the creator of your life. You get to be the artist of it. And it's not rigid. It's not a set of rules that you have to follow at all times. It's much more of a presence that you need to follow. It's much more of being in attunement with the situation. There aren't role models out there for conscious dominance. So we're pioneering something new here. That's why I'm here just speaking about this, because it's a craft in a way that I live in, a practice that I live by, and it's working. My relationships never really worked prior to embracing this and really going down this path. It's important to get our mind straight on this and to question the way we've been thinking and to become aware of the habituated patterns that we've been living under that have restricted us and see the paradigms in which we've been living. Part of freedom is understanding the ways that you're being controlled. Not necessarily can you always liberate yourself from those, but it's necessary to start bringing awareness to the situation. And just by becoming aware, we become able to navigate the situation with more alacrity. One of the primary things that I think of what it is to be an artist is that we get to see the unknown and mystery and the wild as something not to be afraid of. We have reverence for it. As an artist, I have reverence for it. Things that are ambiguous, things that are complex, that are volatile. I'm like, whoa, that's cool. There's possibility, there's potential here. But most men, whenever they are confronted with ambiguity, emotional complexity, relational volatility, all this stuff, they're leery of it. They're afraid of it. They want to control it. They want to move away from it. That situation starts to gain more power than they have. The way to assert yourself in that situation is to not be afraid of it and to be in curiosity or to be in awe and to have a certain reverence for it. And this is the feminine. The feminine is relationally volatile, is complex, is often ambiguous. And it's not my role to flatten that out, but it's my role as an artist to be intuitive, to use my logic, to use my intuition, to use my rational and my irrationality and see what's necessary in the moment and to integrate that. That's the craft. You don't treat it one size fits all. There's an aliveness to it, a fluidity to it. And often when we have an engineering mindset or a scientific mindset, it's not real unless we can measure it. And you can only manage what you can measure. But for example, being a father of a little girl, she taught me that the way that I ask her matters. And you can say, what is that exactly? But it's the tone, my energy with which I was asking her to do something was everything. The vibe that I have. She taught me about transitions. She taught me about my energy and my frequency. She taught me that what was happening inside of me had to be cleaned up, that she could feel that. And I had to start adjusting that if I was going to be more effective as a father. That flies in the face of a purely scientific engineering mindset that says it's all about what can be measured, what's efficient, what's expedient. And this also is the problem with much architecture and much of modern day society, is that we over-index on efficiency and what can be measured, what's cheap, what's doable. This is the problem with food. When you farm from a point of view of food that's only prioritizing to yield, you don't care about health. You don't care about the health of the soil. You don't care about long-term generative practices. Or in architecture, you're creating box stores with crappy lighting, with no energy, no ambiance, no vibe, no feeling. And you're also creating architecture that's more geared towards cars than you are towards human beings. None of this nurtures your soul. Whereas when people go on vacation, nobody goes on vacation to go visit box stores. They go on vacation to visit architecture. So obviously, as human beings, we go to places that are beautiful and that have ambiance. You go to a nice hotel, it's got nice lighting. People pay money for ambiance. And yet we think somehow it's better if it's more efficient, if it's cheaper. No, it's not. That's just lazy thinking. And it's the same in relationships. You can't treat your relationship one size fits all. You can't think about it in a mindset that's easy. I wish it would just be efficient. I wish it was just like a fucking box store. It needs to have an ambiance. There's a feeling, there's a vibe, there's an energy. The people that deal with energy and vibe and can create form from that are artists. That's their job, whether they're designers or they're architects or they're musicians or they're planning a party. They are creating and thinking about something that's beyond just what can be measured. Your woman is not something just to be measured. She feels the energy of where you're at. She's not a problem to solve. She's not an efficiency equation. Your responsibility is not to improve her or to solve her or to complete her. She's an art piece that you're creating. And what and how to share it changes depending on the situation. It's alive. It's dynamic. It's a dynamic system. And she's not just in isolation. How she is around you, around others, around her life, around her past, all of these things matter. And you get to be the artist of these, and you get to recontextualize these and rethink these. And this is the fodder too for kink and for scenes and for creativity. This is all based in the place of creativity. And so a good way to think about it is have curiosity more than control. And yet when you're curious, you start having control of the situation because your nervous system is in control. As soon as you over-index on control and it's out of control, that affects your nervous system. But if the goal is curiosity, then when things are going haywire, you can just go, that's interesting. What's going on here? And you're not affected by it or impacted by it. And this is why it's so important that you think to yourself, she's not doing this to you. She's doing this as a display. It's a frequency that could be chaotic. And by definition, chaos is something that you don't understand, that you can't control. This is also what wildness is. Wildness is uncertainty, chaos. It's things that are beyond your understanding, but in an action kind of form. We like wildness when it doesn't threaten us, but even when it does threaten us, wildness is what keeps us alive. It's a life force. It's juiciness. This is wild animals and nature and wilderness. It's a storm. This is what it is to be around a woman and her pure feminine presence. There's a wildness to it. If we're trying to control it or be in charge of it and diminish it, we are going to shut that down. And we're going to lose the wildness so we can measure it, so we can control it, so we can feel better about ourselves. That's not conscious dominance. That's the old version of dominance, which is really abuse, because what you're doing is you're going into a situation, you're trying to apply a one-size-fits-all model to it. That's not what we're talking about here. She's only going to rise if she can go in her darker places, she can go in her lighter places. You have to learn to love the parts of her that are challenging you, or challenging your situation, or challenging your sense in your identity. If you're able to hold that and see that and be in resonance without collapsing, you're going to grow from it. You're going to automatically grow. That's how you grow. The beauty that you want that's in front of you, it's so limited compared to what's possible when you can let go of your need to control the situation. A storm is so much more awesome than anything that could be man-made. So her storm, her feelings, her energies, these are not something to be tempered or tamed so much as to become curious about, to be able to sit there and stand in it and not falter. You know, this is the old adage of the buffalo going through the storm, being in pure presence of this. It will impact you, and welcome the impact, and maybe it will trigger you, but guaranteed that will grow you. You'll get stronger, you become more emotionally resonant. The presence, just like courage, can only really be there when it's challenging. If you're courageous, that means you're afraid. Presence is if you're triggered and you're still able to keep your heart open and still be able to hold that. She feels that growth engenders something new. That's regenerative. That's what it is to be in a relational alchemy. This is what it is to be an artist. Being an artist is very much being a mystic. Both mystics and artists are dealing with the mystery. They're dealing with the unknown, and being able to see mystery as something that's potential for something more beautiful and better and more expansive than where we're at. That's what artists do. Mystics and healers see that the part of us that we think of as negative, or our shadow, or our dark sides, that they can actually become something that's compostable and regenerative. This is what Carl Jung talks about with the unconscious. Until you bring it forward, you start living under its guise, and you think that's fate, right? So the more that we can bring conscious awareness to even the dark things, the way that we bring conscious awareness to them is to not be afraid of them or try to control them, because you're not going to want to see them, is to be curious about it, not to judge it. And the goal is attunement, not optimization, not being efficient. What we're interested in doing here is not in the exploitation of the land, not in the exploitation of the woman, but rather in the long-term benefits of it. And it doesn't mean you still aren't wanting to make things alive and feisty in the present moment. That's part of what it is to be the artist and be creative, is how do you create, even when you're thinking long-term, how can you still make the short-term viable and interesting? That's what culture does. Create routines. And you don't want to flatten the wildness so as to have these long-term benefits. It's a balance, right? You want to work with the full spectrum of this. Art's not about having answers. It's not about solving everything. It's about including the doubt. You can live in the mystery. You can hold the tension. Things don't have to be resolved. You don't have to fix it all. Things can just be where they're at, and it's okay. It can be beautiful. There's a tension in that. That's what grief is. It's this in-between space, in between everything. That's what mood is. It's a tension of opposites. Movies that have a great mood is there's contrast. There's something that's dark, but then there's this humanity to the darkness. There's a paradox and holds it. That's what artists do. And so it's the same way with our minds. There's a right brain and a left brain up here. And when you're an artist, you're really using both sides of the brain. When they look at brain scans of women, they see that they are using the whole mind. When they look at men, they see that they're only using the left brain. The left side of the brain is more of the logic and the rationality. A wonderful book called The Master and His Emissary, where he speaks about how important it is in our world to be able to not let the left side, the logical side of the brain, be a master. If it starts being in total control all the time, that's the situation that we get in, where there's exploitation. You need the intuition and the other side in order to integrate the full totality of relationships and see things not just from a logical place, but see things that are more relational. If we're too over indexed in our logic side, then we're too beholden to where we fit in the measurable place, where we fit in the hierarchy. You can get totally despondent if you lose your money, or if you don't fit into the form of what it is to be a dom, or all these judgments that we place on men. I know I do this. You get too much in your rational side and you don't fit in the mold that you thought you should be fitting. But if you can sense yourself as an artist, you're not comparing yourself to anyone else. Your art is your art. There's no comparison. It's so unique. That's your relationship. It's so unique. You can't compare it to anyone else. The leadership that is really what's necessary is about creating. This is not a marching band that we're doing. We're a jazz band. There's improvisation. There's movement. There's aliveness. It's a dance that's alive, that's intuitive. This is not something that you pre-choreograph the whole thing. It adjusts and it moves. It's relational. It's improvisational. You know, that Alan Watts quote where he says, the point of dancing is not to cross the room, or the point of a song is not to reach the end. The point of you leading her is not to get her to do the thing you want her to do. Or the point of being a conscious nom is not to control the situation. It's to create an atmosphere, a mood that's worthy of living in. Just like a song is worthy of listening to. It's a life where the ambiance, the vibe, the energy, the feeling of being with you and being in her presence is a mood that you love to be in. You're creating a mood, you're creating a vibe, and you're getting shit done, and you're moving forward. This is what great artists do. You're not just focused on mood. You also, like going back to the room that the artist creates, you need to be able to turn the lights on and the heat work, and there needs to be structure, and there's great vibe. They're not mutually exclusive. You can have both. So the part of respecting the craft is knowing how much is just the right amount. How much is the dosage, depending on the situation or the time, being alive to the moment, and how to go about doing what's necessary. The whole thing is a bit of a Goldilocks. It's just right. And sometimes it's necessary to be a little softer. Sometimes it's necessary to be hard. And whatever the situation calls for, you're alive to it and you're in it and you're creating something that's new and it's vital and it's vibrant. That's what it is to be an artist, and to witness it and to stand in reverence. And remember, when she's in her wild state and in her uncertain state, as an artist, you're in reverence of that. That's pure potential. That's beauty. That's awesomeness. There's something that can come from that. Don't forget that. And be an artist. And if you need some support being an artist in your conscious dominance, either being an artist or in your relationship, I'm here to help. I've got 30 plus years being an artist and all kinds of modalities, especially in the social practice and creating social projects that are different and unique. And one of my latest projects is here, Conscious Dominance. It's my relationship with Rachel and sharing this with the wider world. So I appreciate you all for listening, and move forward as an artist. And remember to respect the craft. Thank you for listening.